everyone, and welcome back to the Colts Cover 2 podcast. I am Indy Star Colts insider Jim Ayello, and I'm joined by fellow insider Joel A. Erickson. It's February. Football's over, unless you're watching the XFL.
I'm not.
Yeah, I know you're not.
At all.
I read about it.
I didn't even do that.
But the things that we're doing to fill our time. Joel was just telling me about these mock drafts that people are doing, and not even like the professional like McShay ones, but like the ones you can do yourself. And people like, okay, I get you.
Those are more fun to me.
Why?
Because I don't believe that Todd McShay or Daniel Jeremiah or any of those guys know what all 32 teams are going to do. So the way I like to do mock drafts is to just let somebody else make all the picks and worry about the one team I know a lot about, which is the Colts. But I also I also am sort of addicted to this website called firstpick.com that
should be our sponsors now, by the way.
That allows me to make trades, way too many trades and very unrealistic trades.
Yeah, you've gotten Burrow a few times. I've seen you've seen.
I can get Burrow every time.
Yeah, I've gotten some text. I didn't realize you were doing it as much as you were doing it.
No, I do it a lot.
Okay,
I get curious. That's downtime, like a break in the action type thing to do. Like other people play video games, I do mock drafts.
That's interesting. Okay,
but you can get Burrow every time because the site will let you trade. What is it? It'll let you trade this year's first, next year's first, and I think a second. For the number one pick, which is not possible.
Realistically, is it double that for actual Burrow trade?
From where they are?
Right now?
Maybe.
Yeah. If the Colts would probably
it's a lot.
2 2s and 2 even 2 2s and 2 1. Oh no, wait, it would be
I don't know about double, but it's way more than that.
3 1s and 2 2s seems about right. And that seems like, why would you ever?
But it took me a long time to stop doing that because I like Joe Burrow so much. Every time I got in there, I was like, I'm just going to trade up again.
Yeah.
Because they keep letting me.
Well, you told me this is not a site you use, but you told me people pay for sites like this?
Yeah, there's another one.
Why?
There's another one that you can either do the mock draft or you can do, it's fan speak. You can either do a mock draft where you can't trade the picks, or if you upgrade it and pay for it, you can trade picks.
How much do you have to pay?
I don't know. I don't do that.
This is wild. Like, it's not like, it's not like fantasy where you can eventually see the results of your labor. Like this is
it's like a video game, is what it is. It's basically like a video game.
Just play Madden. You can draft those guys too.
Yeah, but they don't have Madden. Doesn't have like.
It's a draft.
Madden's less realistic with this year's draft class.
Nah, you can download the rosters and stuff from this year.
I'm sure they don't have like the. Do they have the board set up the way it's set up for most people right now?
What do you mean? Oh no, I mean.
So when you do
no.
when you do the fan speak one, the reason people do it is you can take like whoever your favorite draft analyst is, you can use their big board.
Okay.
And then that creates your board, so you know who comes up at which point.
Yeah, that is more realistic. Okay, I'm fine with that, but to pay for it, that seems.
I don't do that.
Okay.
But I'm sure there are people that do because the option's there.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, like I said, I read my fair share of mock drafts and things
I like
that.
the unrealistic. I like the unrealistic one because I can trade down so many times.
Yeah,
and it took me a long time to stop doing that with this particular draft, but I really like being able to trade down.
Yeah, so does Chris Ballard.
I like to have I like to end up. There's a way on there. There's a way on there that you can make like 27 picks if you want to.
Well, I think Chris might want to. Well, this is So if this hasn't told you enough. This is what we've been doing over the past few weeks. It's been weird. I mean, obviously we've been, I don't know. This
is Jim's first offseason as an NFL beat writer, and he's not handling February well.
No, it's getting to me a little bit. Even though I got to cover the Pacers a little bit, that was helpful, and I've been doing some stuff ahead of the combine and some other research. But it's I mean, like I said,
have a couple of stories in the works that I've been working on, so I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah, you're not doing nothing.
But
no,
I'm more used to this this lull in the calendar.
I don't like downtime. That's why I have.
The other thing is I've always been a football writer, and there's a lull in the calendar for college football too. So I'm used to February kind of being a downtime-ish. After signing day, you just like.
This is why I'm excited about Stump Joel, because I literally was just doing dumb research yesterday and found some fun weird stats.
Is it about what first pick will let me trade to move up?
It's not. It's not. It's not about that, or it's not, and it's not about
for reference. Today it allowed me to trade twice from 13 to 17. Pick up an extra second and an extra third, and Tua Tagovailoa was still available
at 13 or 17,
which is definitely not going to happen.
Yeah, see that's the thing. Like that,
he was available along with Justin Herbert and Jordan Love. That's not possible.
Once those guys are available to me at 13 and 17, I'm like, this is not real. I'm not doing this anymore.
I know that makes it more fun for me.
Ugh, I know. I can't stand it. But all right, let's talk about some real things. for a minute. We're going to get into, you guys very awesomely sent us questions, so we'll dive into those, get some really cool ones, and we'll probably spend most of the podcast talking about that. But Phillip Rivers is the first kind of official free agent into the fray. There are some connections between him and the Colts, very obvious ones that I don't think are as good as you'd think. I think a lot of people think that the Phillip Rivers, Frank Reich years were amazing, and they weren't. We'll get into that in a minute.
I can't tell right now if because everyone keeps throwing this out. Peter King's thrown it out. Ian Rappaport's thrown it out.
Yeah.
It started with Jason Lockenfora. But I can't tell if it's a report or if it's just people drawing lines from Frank Reich and Nick Sirianni's time in San Diego. It was still San Diego, right?
Yeah.
To here and saying, well, they need a quarterback. They're going to want him. I saw one tweet that was like, not only is the head coach's offensive coordinator, but so is the Colts offensive coordinator. I was like, yeah, because Sirianni is Reich's guy.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I can't tell if people are just drawing. It feels to me like people might just be going, oh, he used to be coached by guys who now need a quarterback.
Yeah, I wrote this in the story I wrote when this happened, but quarterback rating, or QBR, I guess, yeah. If you want to, not a perfect measuring stat, but here are the 3 years with Frank. And we'll get more into this in a minute. I want to tell you guys what else we'll be talking about. But 75.3, 63.6, 55.7.
You got to go passer rating for me. I don't know what QBR is.
It's fine. Hold on. 105.5, 93.8, 93.8.
Okay.
But by QBR, which is a slightly more advanced metric, he was worse than the last year. In other words, suffice to say, it got worse and worse their years together. He led the league in picks in 2014. Not great. He had a great year in 2013, Pro Bowl year. Maybe his best season as a quarterback, but I don't know. Like I said, if you're going to draw the line to Frank Reich and Nick Sirianni, I totally get it, but to say that they're like, let's not go too far and say that like they made magic together. Frank Reich lost his job with the Chargers because things weren't going well. So let's just make sure we all know that. The other things we want to talk about, you guys sent some questions I wanted to say. In case you were interested, we're going to talk about potential Brian Hoyer and Jacoby Brissett trades, which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Foles trade, which was a fun question.
Mm-hmm.
Some free agents. I think you and I we can get into a couple guys that at least we're interested in that would maybe realistically at least be available. I think, was it Shelby Harris that you wanted to talk about?
Someone was asked specifically. Somebody asked, I should get the name here.
Okay. We can. We'll do the question in a little bit.
Yeah, when we get to it, we'll give you the shout out.
Yeah, no, we'll read them. And then,
they deserve it.
And then, we'll also talk about, I don't know, a couple of the draft guys. We have the combine coming up in a couple weeks, and so those are the stories that you're working on. I won't give away too much, but you're working on some combine stuff. I'm kind of working on some quarterbacks and combine stuff, so we'll get into that just a little bit. Hopefully, help you guys kill some down days in February because I like basketball, but I've been more of a football baseball guy. So it's like I'm real like no football going on. Baseball's kind of ramping up, but it's like not there yet. So this is tough. This is a tough time for me. So
Jim's not handling it well.
Thank you.
It's not going well.
No, so I walked in and our boss was like, "You convinced you convinced Joel to come in and do a podcast." I'm like, I needed to get out of the house. Like I needed to move. So
I was fine where I was.
I know. All right, so let's go back. Let's go about Phillip Rivers. So we know he's a free agent because the Chargers made the announcement, essentially saying we're not.
Yeah, this has been happening a little bit this season.
More recently,
which is a little weird. Atlanta did it with Vic Beasley. I feel like there was another. Oh, Greg Olson and the Panthers.
Yeah.
Where their guys were at the end of their contracts. I can't remember if Olson was or not, but announcing that they will not be pursuing them in free agency. Just kind of nice from a standpoint of you don't have to play that will they, won't they game. Full disclosure, a lot of the free agent list you're looking at right now, you can cross like a third of the people off of it because they're just going to re-sign with their original team.
Or get tagged,
before they get there. So this sort of helps in terms of that. Rivers was Monday. The Chargers said he was not going to be back with them. And then everyone went nuts with the Colts and Rivers.
Yeah, so we talked about why, because of the obvious connections. I made the case in a story I wrote for both. I said it makes sense to bring him in. It doesn't make sense to bring him in. You are pretty firmly on the side of it doesn't make sense to bring him in. But this is maybe not a Phillip Rivers only thing for you. It's maybe just an old quarterback thing. Is that where you're at?
Yeah, 38's really old.
Right, but you don't like.
He's really old.
Well, so what if it was theoretically Drew Brees? Would you be opposed?
I'd be nervous.
Okay. So it is more.
Drew Brees has never played outside of Sean Payton's system.
Right. No, I agree.
Well, I mean, he
before,
did with the Chargers, but the Drew Brees that we think of has never played outside of Sean Payton's system, and Sean Payton knows how to make up for some of Drew's limitations.
Right. So you are
I also think that you need to feel like you have like a Super Bowl team
to bring in a. Do you have like an age limit? Is it like 36?
Well, I think if you felt like trying to think of the right team this year. Well, if you were Jacksonville a couple of years ago and you're in the AFC Championship game and your quarterback's Blake Bortles, then go get somebody else.
Right. There isn't really a team like that right now. Like, I don't think there's a championship contender waiting to get a quarterback because that doesn't usually happen.
Like
anyway.
A truly like obvious one. Like you think about like the Vikings almost got themselves to a Super Bowl with Brett Favre.
Almost with Case Keenum too. That's why they went out and got Cousins.
Right. But that was like Brett was like 39-ish.
Yeah, his last good year I think
Brett was
39,
and so they went and got him. I'm blanking a little bit on exactly what happened with Montana and the Chiefs, but that was a really good Chiefs team. That's like Okoye and Word, and Derek Thomas was on the defense. James Hasty was on the defense, I think. I think that was a really good Chiefs team that went for Joe Montana.
I lied, by the way. Sorry, Favre's last good year was 40. He had 33 touchdowns and 7 picks.
Yeah, he was great that year. But that was his first year in Minnesota.
Yes. I thought he was 39, but yeah.
So you have to feel like you have a team, and I don't know that there's a team out there like that this year.
Yeah, I don't see it. Well, I mean, the Patriots, right? Probably.
In theory.
But I don't think they're going to go. Like, I don't think they're going to get rid of.
Because they have, if they want an old quarterback, they should just get the one they've had for the last 20 years.
They're not going to get rid of Tom Brady to get Phillip Rivers. That doesn't make a lot of sense. They might get, Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not saying they won't sign a free agent quarterback, but I don't think it will be Rivers or Breeze or whoever old guy is out there. And again, I don't think Breeze is getting there either.
I'm not opposed to going after a veteran quarterback, but I think that the thing with
super distracted by your phone.
I think that my wife texted me. I think I think that the thing is with an older quarterback like that, with Rivers especially, it's like you don't know how much time you're buying. Well, yeah, it's a stopgap. You might be buying 4 games. Right. You might be buying no games. Like, he might be completely done.
Well, let me just start here. Do you believe Phillip Rivers is better than Jacoby Brissett? Yes. How much better? I guess
not much.
Not much.
It's just different. It's just different problems.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I know your last year was bad, and again, I can go through it real quick for you guys listening. A 66% completion percentage, 4,615 yards, 23 touchdowns, 20 picks, which is I know your issue with him. I will say though, if you're using Frank Reich's, golden metric of yards per attempt, Rivers is great. 7.8 last year.
No, his completion percentage and his yards per attempt are there. Yes, but and I know people have said that I know that the argument is he doesn't have the line he'd have here. Right. But you can't say that he wasn't working with talent because the Chargers are super talented. Yeah, no, they got weapons everywhere. They're incredibly talented.
But I think, assuming the Colts make a move to address the receiver position to go along with T.Y., I think they'll be similarly as talented as the Chargers.
But what I'm saying is the idea that it's the Chargers that are the problem and not Rivers doesn't hold true to me because of how much talent they have. And then there's the other lurking thing out here is that the Chargers should in theory be a win now team. Yes. They feel like the Texans to me, and that there's a ton of frontline talent. Yeah. And you wonder about their depth because they always get injured, but Derwin James,
missing
Melvin
Derwin,
Ingram,
that was big.
Joey Bosa, Keenan Allen, like that team has players. Yeah. They were just in the playoffs deep 2 years ago. Yeah. And they said bye, that we don't need you. Like that's exactly the kind of team who should feel like if we just have the right quarterback, we can do something with it.
That's fair. That's a totally legit point. But I would also say that 2018 leads that team to a 12-4 record the year that Mahomes is winning an MVP. He's 32-12 touchdowns and interceptions, 8.7 yards per attempt, 68% completion percentage. That's his elite level quarterback.
Yeah, but that would matter more to me if he was 29 in that year.
I agree.
And 31 now as opposed to 37. Like, he's 38. This is the year. This 38 is the year when you start going, when is it just going to completely drop off the map?
I agree. And not everybody gets to be Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Brett Favre. I completely get that. But if you can make yourself the argument that
plus he's going to cost $30 million.
Yes. Which the Colts can stomach, no problem.
They can, but then you've got $40 million on quarterback.
50. It's 20. Brissett's a $20
well,
million
I'm assuming if Phillip Rivers is here, that Brissett's gone.
Oh, really?
I mean, maybe not.
I don't know. I wouldn't make that jump yet.
I wouldn't make that. I guess maybe I shouldn't make that jump, but I don't know. I would think you'd only pay one starter.
I agree.
A ton of money.
I think Hoyer would be gone in that situation for sure. But we can talk about that later with that fan question.
Hoyer's making like $4 million a year.
No, I know, but I just meant, to me, you can make the case that he's better than Brissett and he's good enough. And this team, offensively, I think is pretty much ready to contend. The Colts, again, need a little more injection.
Receivers and tight ends.
Injection of a little more talent. I don't know. This may be coming from a guy who believes still in Paris Campbell quite a bit, and Jack Doyle and T.Y. Hilton, who are aging. So I understand where people would be hesitating a little bit, but I still think the offensive weaponry is pretty close, and I think the defense is probably in the average to above average and getting better range. I know this year was kind of, I don't know, maybe a sidestep.
I just don't see Phil. It's hard for me to go. The guy who's 38 is going to recapture the magic of 2 years ago, because magic starts going away now.
I don't know.
It just does.
Guys have down years and come back. Not often at this age. We don't see it very often.
The age is the big thing.
But I would say
he played terribly last year. He was terrible last year.
He was bad. They was bad. Even though I would say that they were almost all they had terrible weird luck in one-score games.
That's the Chargers the entire time he's been quarterbacking them.
He won 21 games the 2 previous years combined.
I know, but the Chargers narrative is they lose in horrible, awful ways.
Right. I get that.
They lose in horrible, awful ways. They find ways to lose. That's the Chargers. That's who they've been. The Chargers have been known for three things the last 5 or 6 years. They've been known for the fact that Phillip Rivers is their quarterback.
Yeah.
The fact that all of their players always get hurt. Just right at the beginning of the season, just erase all the players. And then the third thing they're known for is losing in terrible, awful ways.
Yeah. Again, and all those things listen, to be 100% honest with you, I don't think Phillip Rivers makes a ton of sense. I'm trying to make the case for it. The only case I can make for it is that you give him a 2-year contract, which would effectively be a 1-year contract that you could get out of. And you still draft a quarterback, and you give yourself a bridge year with a better quarterback. Because I think
you can make that case.
Your point has been, I think your point from during the season was that coaches and GMs know that they don't live forever in the NFL, and that they need to make the playoffs and win divisions. And I think Phillip Rivers gives you a better chance of winning division than Jacoby Brissett.
That's true, but I just don't think it's that much difference.
Yeah, but if
I don't think it's as much difference as I want to commit to it.
If money's not a real issue, because it really
it's not. No, not
then what is stopping you? If you know he's better, then
the idea that he was better last year, it might be completely falling off a cliff, and might turn out to be the same this year.
But if it's a 1-year commitment, what's the risk?
If the risk is he's done? The risk is he's washed and he never plays.
The alternative right now is Jacoby.
Well, you can go get a different quarterback. Phillip Rivers isn't the only quarterback they could, in theory, go
That's
get.
fair. I mean, and so is there a guy that you're more interested in the free agent market? That would
not free agent market.
Okay, then. So is he the most interesting free agent quarterback to you? That's, again, realistically going to hit free agency? Because we're not talking about Breeze. I don't think Breeze is going anywhere. Do you agree?
No, I know Breeze isn't going anywhere.
Right.
He said it's either retirement or the Saints.
That's what. Okay, so then there's Brady, which
Brady feels like it's the same thing to me.
Okay, I guess you could probably make the case that Brady's better than Rivers if you're going this direction. I know weird.
Tom Brady was basically Jacoby Brissett last year with more attempts.
I agree. I kind of like Rivers a little more, honestly, in that. If that's not weird to say. But he's like 43. And it's like a 5-year age difference between Rivers and Brady.
They're like the same to me. I just don't like it.
Bridgewater? You're not a Bridgewater guy. And you have to commit. For him, you have to know you have to commit.
I don't love. I think there's a chance that Bridgewater, you're basically just getting Brissett 2.0.
Yeah, and for a 3-year commitment for like $90 million. That's what he's going to get. Somebody's going to pay him. Tannehill? I don't think he's leaving, though.
I don't know. I think Tannehill's going to be the Tennessee Titans quarterback for the next 4 years.
Me too. So we pretty much are talking. And then Jameis, I guess, is the other one.
No.
You know I love it.
No.
Not really. I don't really want to see it.
I vote no. Hard pass.
Even though, I don't know, Jameis with Frank could be interesting.
No.
He's young.
There's been like 4 guys go through there. He's going to do what Jameis is going to do. It does not matter who's in charge.
You're not wrong. I just, like I said, watching Jameis is so much fun.
That's not fun for me.
Oh no!
It's not fun.
If he was the quarterback of the team we covered, it probably wouldn't be fun.
You might have forgotten this, but we had completely opposite reactions to the Colts Tampa game, which was you were in heaven with all of the ridiculousness, and I was like, this is terrible.
It was that. I can't believe you didn't enjoy yourself.
I didn't. I never enjoy myself in Tampa.
That game was wild.
That game took 7 shots at the beginning and just kept drinking the whole way.
Yeah. Why do you not enjoy that? Why don't you like fun?
I don't know. It's not fun for me. Watching him throw inexplicable passes directly to people doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, but like in between are like some of the best passes I've seen this year. It was incredible. Like some of the throws he made were insane.
I don't like it.
And
I don't like it.
They're all insane.
And I really don't want it to be the quarterback of my team.
It's probably not going to happen. But okay, so
maybe Andy Dalton, maybe. Okay. Although I don't know, he's probably a marginal at best replacement too.
I had a minor disagreement, or at least not disagreement, but argument's too hard. Debate, I guess. Do you think they're not going to just cut him? Are they? You got to trade that. Somebody's going to pay a 5th or 6th round pick for Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I would trade it if you.
I don't think he just gets straight cut.
I would trade it.
Also, why not keep him around then?
I think the other thing is with the older guys, especially we're not talking about like Peyton.
Yeah.
Peyton, there was 4 years to go. Like there was time there, and with Phillip Rivers, with Tom Brady, with those guys, it feels like it might be like 1 year or half a year or something like that. And picking where the Colts are picking, like I want extra swings if I can get them. I want somebody who's an upgrade over Brissett. I know I'm asking a lot.
Yeah.
But from a veteran quarterback, I would like somebody who I think is an upgrade over Brissett and then somehow gives me a couple of years to take swings in the draft, assuming that you won't be picking high enough to just go for one.
Right. No, I don't think the Colts are going to, even with Brissett again, I don't think they'll be picking the top 10 next year.
Right. And so I don't know. Like I kind of want a couple of different swings at it.
I agree, but
that's one of the things I loved about the Chiefs having Alex Smith was they could make the playoffs while also waiting for the lightning bolt to happen, and it worked out. And I know that it's ridiculous to think about that, but like it's nice to have a runway. This actually sort of leads into one of the questions.
Go ahead. Like I said, I will only say that before you go ahead and while you find the question is that I think I'm not opposed to the idea of adding a veteran quarterback and drafting. I don't want Rivers plus.
If you sign Rivers, you have to keep looking because he might be washed right now.
I agree. That's
he might be washed as we speak.
The argument for me would be for Rivers is sign Rivers, draft Love, or sign Rivers, draft Herbert, or you know what I mean, or sign Rivers and still trade up to.
The question that this leads into. Someone was saying people in the draft community sometimes debate whether or not a project quarterback is worth a top 15 pick. Do you think the Colts feel the same way, or do you consider that great value for a future quarterback?
Who was this that asked, by the way? Give him a shout out.
At Groth_E.
Okay.
And the name on it is It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, which I don't think is on their birth certificate. No,
probably not. But, well, go ahead. Fire away at your answer to that question.
Yeah, take him. Take him.
At 13?
If you think that it's 1 year or 2 years, and then you have take the guy.
Yeah, this all comes down to your evaluation.
Do whatever you have to do to take the guy. If you believe he's the guy, take the guy, even if it's going to take a year.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page on quarterbacks in the draft. Is if you believe in him, do whatever it takes to go get him.
I don't think the Chiefs regret having Patrick Mahomes for a year. I don't think the Packers regret having Aaron Rodgers for 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other people who had to wait around a little bit.
Those are the two big ones.
Those are the two biggest ones. I mean, normally guys just kind of play, but like
Brady waited. He did. He waited behind Bledsoe.
Yeah, the idea is they almost cut him. They almost cut Tom Brady the year before. They kept 4 quarterbacks on the roster, which is insane.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can do that. Let's put it this way. This is what I think happens with where guys get drafted. you don't take people based on I think this person fits into a specific slot, like a project quarterback can only be taken in the second round.
Right.
If you have him graded, we know how this goes. They make a board, and you're looking at it, and hopefully there's a guy sitting up above everybody else, and you just take that guy.
Yeah.
So if you think it's that guy, regardless, like if that's the grade, even if part of the grade is that it might take him a little while to develop, or you think he might, you just take that guy.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you need to know who else might want that guy.
Right.
And you might not be able to wait.
Well, that's why. Like, so to me, the good example is, again, a guy who grew up or watched the Bears. Like, I don't think them going after Mitch Trubisky and trading up to go do it is the wrong move. Was Mitch the wrong guy? Yes, but they went up and got their guy. I think that's still the right move.
Oh, no one would care if they traded if they'd done that for Patrick Mahomes.
Right, exactly, and that's what I mean. And they moved up from 3 to 2 and were criticized for it. But I don't care really what the price. I mean, I shouldn't say that. You have to.
If you think he's the guy,
Yeah.
and you know that there might be team, and you think or no, I think they know that when teams are interested.
Yeah.
That's the agent's job.
Right.
No,
I mean, like when
you just take them
through the Mahomes thing. They knew the Saints were interested, and they knew. I think there was another team that was interested in Mahomes as well, other than the Chiefs, obviously. But there was another team. But they knew, who they had to.
Yeah,
move
they
ahead
jumped
of.
to 10 for a reason.
Yeah,
because the Saints were picking 11.
Right. So, do we know if Jordan Love's the guy? Or do we know if the Colts?
Now
think
it
Jordan Love's
depends.
the guy?
Now part of this depends on if what you mean by project quarterback. If you mean by project quarterback, you mean a guy who you have no idea if they're going to turn out. You just think maybe it's there. I would say if that's what you think of the guy, you probably don't want him.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's a first round pick then.
No, I don't think anybody does. I don't think you do that because then you're not sure about him. But if you're saying he might have to sit for a year, yeah, you just take him.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, all right, we'll move on to actually before we move on to another question, let's hit another piece of news real fast and do the Colts coaching staff because we actually haven't talked about it. They made some moves. You covered that story a little closer than I did, but I just want to talk big picture. Obviously, Mike Groh from Philadelphia is now the receivers coach.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Patullo now is the passing game coordinator, getting promoted.
Passing game specialist.
I would assume promoted, right, from wide receivers coach. That's probably the way to say it.
I have no idea.
I think it is.
To be perfectly honest, I have no idea.
I don't think he's getting.
If it said coordinator, it'd be different.
Specialist. I suppose that's true. Could I guess theoretically be a side step for him?
Generally, the way, at least in college, the way it used to work was that if coordinator was attached to your name, you got more pay.
Okay.
So the fact that it's not coordinator makes me wonder.
The way I was looking at it was a promotion. I still think that's probably right. To ask Frank about it more specifically when we get a chance to talk to him. But anyway, they pretty much just got another brain in the room, which I think is what they were looking to do.
Well, and I don't even know that they were looking to add someone specifically in the passing game. Like, just, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to go out and get an assistant coach
right.
to add to the passing game no matter who it is. I don't think that's how it worked. I think Mike Groh is somebody that Frank respects a lot, thinks is a very good coach. And when he became available, they were like, well, can we make this work?
Right.
And add him to the room, and they did.
Yeah, Mike has obviously spent some time with Frank
Mm-hmm.
in Philadelphia. Mike was also previously in Chicago, which I don't know if I'm just trying to think. I don't know if his time overlapped with Ballard or not. I think it did a little, maybe for a couple of years.
I don't know.
But I'm pretty sure it did. He was the receivers coach for the Bears, and Chris was obviously there as a scout. So I think he's familiar with the guys in the room for the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
That was all I was saying.
I think the important one is right.
Right, absolutely.
They were together in 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And I think that's where it comes from.
Right. So we'll see how that works. Like I said, it's an interesting reconfiguration of the coaching staff. Like I said, Frank's getting more input from more people now. I mean, like I said, and I think they brought him in because they have
a ton of passing brains
right
on the offensive coaching staff. Frank, Nick Sirianni, Marcus Brady, Kevin Patullo, Mike Groh, and I believe Gerard Johnson's still on staff. He's also a former quarterback. Who did stuff with that part of the game last year. That's a lot of people all working on primarily passing game stuff.
Right. So, like I said, I applaud Frank for I don't know, being open to something like that, and getting more cooks in the kitchen. Sometimes that would come across as negative, and like there are teams right now that are considering not adding offensive coordinators at all, like Philadelphia, which is interesting. But Frank seems to be kind of going maybe the other way on that.
I think you just wait and see what the results are on assistant coaches, with the exception of I was saying this before we got on here, with the exception of like the really truly famous position coaches, which there aren't that many of. It's mostly like offensive line guys. I don't think any of us really have a great idea how fantastic one position coach is over another one. I just don't.
No, I wasn't saying that he was a good or bad coach. All I was saying was that Frank's interested in bringing in more minds, more people contributing to it. Where other teams, like we heard that Stefanski wasn't maybe going to bring in an offensive coordinator in Cleveland, and Doug Peterson is considering maybe not bringing an offensive coordinator in Philadelphia. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying it's a different method.
I think part of it is that Frank usually assigns the assistants different tasks in preparation, and so maybe this helps you break down and focus in more on something else. We'll find out when we talk to Frank at the Combine.
Yeah,
a little bit more about how all that's going to work. But yeah, I think it's a change. They bring somebody in that Frank works well with. How much weight to put on it? Hard to tell.
No. The only thing I'll add on that before we get to one of these questions is about the coaching staff is Frank doesn't make a lot of changes to the coaching staff generally. They've not did at his first year. They changed offensive line coaches. This year they added an offensive coach. They moved some things around on the offense and then changed out defensive line coaches after one left for Carolina. So it's kind of just overall, not a lot of movement. He seems to want to stick with the most of the guys that he already had.
Yeah, and I don't think that's as rare as maybe as it seems. Sean Payton was sort of famous for having he's had the same offensive coordinator the entire time he's been there, which is wow. You'd think somebody would have given Pete Carmichael a shot.
Yeah.
But like Joe Lombardi went to the Lions, failed as the offensive coordinator, and he's back there. He fired most of his defensive staff a couple of years ago, but most of those guys that he fired had been with him since 2006. Mike McCarthy had turnover at coaching, but it was because people were getting hired elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like staffs that I know well in terms of guys who were there a long time. Belichick's obviously had to turn over his staff for the same reason. People keep getting hired.
I was thinking more of the Reich tree was that Andy Reid has kind of had to turnover stuff, but again, that's because people are getting hired. Doug Peterson kind of has had that, but he's also fired a lot of guys too.
Peterson this year fired.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's, I don't know, like I said, it's interesting. And if Frank had a losing season that was a disappointing season next year, maybe he would have to fire more people. I don't know.
Right.
And that's definitely what happened in Philadelphia. I think there was a lot more pressure on Doug after kind of the season they endured, which wasn't awful, but wasn't up to the standard I think they were hoping for. So, but to get back to the coach, defensive side, and a question from one of our readers is Nick Moore 2322. Said, okay, I know it's early and you guys probably don't have a good read on this yet, but what differences will there be with Brian Baker compared to Mike Fair? This is on defensive line coach. And what position do you think they will look at most in free agency? So you want to start there? Like I said, we don't really know the differences.
Those two questions are tied together for me.
You think they're going to look at defensive linemen?
Yep.
Yeah. I will say that there was some...
Shout out to Nick, by the way. He's our most avid podcast listener.
Yeah. Well, he just loves you, so you just love him.
Well,
yeah.
Shout out to Nick. Shout out to Nick for being my most avid podcast listener. I was
going to say, a big fan of you. The only thing I will say that I think might change, had heard some talk while we were in Alabama, was just that there was... The rotation at defensive line might be a little different. Just that some of the young guys didn't get as much run as the others. Again, I have no idea if that's true. There was just some chatter going around. Yeah, and I look, you look at it and it's true. Some of the older guys got more run than some of the younger guys, and maybe they want to bring in somebody that's going to try to develop and bring along the younger guys. And we also know that some of the older, like Autry and Marcus Hunt, didn't have very good years. So
from a scheme perspective, I don't think much changes because Baker worked with Eberflus in the Cowboys scheme. I think Baker has worked was a cover 2 guy. I think Baker's background is a little more eclectic, which maybe helps him teach some other techniques a little bit better or differently. I will say this. I think that in addressing the defensive line coach, I know that a lot of people said, why don't they just bring back Robert Mathis? There's a very easy reason why Robert Mathis isn't on staff. Robert Mathis doesn't want to only coach when the NFL tells him he can coach.
Yeah, he can't technically because he runs these camps, right?
No. He can't because when he was an employee of the Colts, there are times in the CBA that he's not allowed to contact players.
Right.
Now that he's an independent consultant, he can coach anybody anytime he wants.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's running all these things on the side, so he can't be a coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing: if you want Robert Mathis to be coaching and working with Colts pass rushers, he is.
Yeah.
As an independent consultant.
Well, he gets a lot of credit for the development of Kemoko Toure.
From Kemoko Toure, but he's also working with Justin Houston. He works with Nico Autry. Robert Mathis is working with a lot of these guys independently, and that's the point of him being an independent consultant. Robert Mathis just wants to be coaching pass rush. He doesn't want to he wants to be on the field coaching pass rush, and being an independent consultant allows him to just do that.
Yeah.
And not have to sit through these times. Like right now, they're not allowed to talk football. They're legally not allowed to per the CBA if you're hired by and employed by a team. If you're Robert Mathis, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He can work with anybody he wants right now.
Yeah. So
that's for anyone wondering why they didn't just hire back Robert Mathis, it's because he still has a very strong relationship with the Colts. He is a horseshoe guy. But he wants to be on the field coaching pass rush all the time.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to go coach somewhere else. That's not what's going to happen. So, and then the other part of the question was, and you already alluded to it, was free agency. What do you think they're going to be interested in? I think Chris will be slightly more aggressive than he's been in the past, but it only depends on who gets to the free agent market and who doesn't.
Well, it depends on what their cost is. I think he's always going to be I set a value on a guy and don't go above it.
Yeah, he doesn't like giving a long-term deals, which might get him out of the Chris Jones, Yannick Ngakoue conversations.
I don't think Chris Jones is getting anywhere near the market.
You think he's going to franchise tag?
I think they're going to find a way to pay him. Whatever, whether it's the franchise tag or whatever, I don't think Kansas City would be very stupid to let him go. And I think they're smart enough to know that.
Yeah. He's a huge, obviously.
You can always restructure somebody's contract, cut somebody else. There's ways to get cap space. Don't look at cap space right now and just assume that that's the number, because there's always ways.
Oh yeah, they already talked about with Sammy Watkins.
I told somebody this with if there's anything that covering the Saints taught me, it's that whatever the cap space is, they can find a way to sign a guy. They just can. Ngakoue is a little bit weirder.
Doesn't seem like he wants to be in Jacksonville.
There's some weird tweets.
Mm-hmm.
Some that aren't so weird. Some that seem like fairly explicit.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he wants to be in Jacksonville. But with Tom Coughlin gone, that might be different. Maybe. There seemed to be a lot of friction between
anything other than what I've seen. But
yeah.
Ngakoue seems like maybe there's more of a chance of hitting it. I don't know. I don't know. It depends on what value Ballard placed on the player. If he thought a player was a $20 million a year guy, then he would sign him for $20 million years. It just depends on what his valuation is of the guy.
Yeah, but you think he's going to be? I'll bring up another one. Is Jadeveon Clowney? There's another one who could hit free agency if Seattle can't find a way to pay him.
Well, Clowney fits a position that makes me think is one of the reasons that makes me think that defensive line is where they're going to sign people. If they don't bring back Jabal Sheard,
right,
which is I feel like it's a strong possibility.
I don't know. It's tough because when he talked about Sheard, it sounded like he was saying thanks for the memories. But then he later talked about how important it was to have defensive veterans and how they didn't have enough of them on the team. So that also speaks to Sheard.
You just have to. A lot of it depends on what they thought of that injury. That, to me, a lot of it depends on what they thought of that injury that kept him out at the beginning of training camp.
Yeah.
And whether or not they think that kind of stuff is going to keep happening as he gets older.
For sure. Oh no, I'm not saying. I was just saying it was. I think he's got a chance of coming back just because they do like him. It seems.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think he definitely was a good signing.
Yeah. And I thought he played well in stretches, especially early
on. But he wasn't as productive this year as he was years prior. And you throw that in with the knee.
Yeah.
Depends what he's going to get. But Jadeveon Clowney is more of that type of end. I don't think Jadeveon Clowney is just a pure 12-sack-a-year pass rush guy.
No, I think that's a good way of looking at Clowney. He's kind of like, or at least
he's more of a quote-unquote left end.
Yeah, I think he's like a rich man's Jabal Sheard. Like, he's really good against the run and will get you.
Yeah, he might be the proto, like one of the best of that type of player.
Right. Like I said, Sheard is like a good against the run, like 7-8 sacks would be great, and Clowney is really great against the run, and like 9, 10, 11 sacks would be great. Kind of like that's kind of where I see him.
Mm-hmm. And you saw it with the Seahawks this year. The Seahawks had no pass rush numbers. Clowney didn't have very good numbers.
He had only a few sacks. 3? Wasn't it? Something like that?
It was real low.
Yeah.
But he's still going to command a lot of money.
Yeah, because he was an impactful defensive player. But yeah, he's one of those guys you kind of have to watch closely to see what he's doing. Otherwise, because the numbers aren't going to show it. Matthew Judon is another one. Ravens pass rusher. Could be out there. Obviously, the Za'Darius Smith thing worked out well for the Packers. So those part-time pass rushers of the Ravens, they kind of had like a knock on them before they came out. But Za'Darius Smith proved that, hey, given a bigger chance and a different team, we can do more. So I think Judon might get paid. More
of a similar scheme, though. Mike Pettin.
Oh, for sure.
A little bit more like the Ravens.
And no doubt. And he got put in the right position. I'm just saying, I think that people won't maybe be as skeptical as they were before, like on Judon, because Za'Darius had a good year. But again, a guy I think the Colts could look into. I don't think you can have enough pass rushers.
No, that's not possible.
Yeah, I don't even care. Sign Judon, draft another pass rusher, and you can play it. You can just rotate them all with Justin Houston and Kimoka Ture and Banigou. Just play them all.
Yeah. No, I'm on board with that, and I think more than defensive end, I think defensive tackles.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think they're going to add a defensive tackle
in free agency.
Yes.
Okay. You got a name?
I don't have a name for which guy I think they're going to add.
But do you have a question you want to
get to? I have
a
question about it.
Okay.
And it sort of ties into it.
Go ahead.
I want to get the name of the person who asked the question. Rob Fleming said thoughts on Shelby Harris rumors. There's a report from a Denver-based reporter saying that the Colts were in on Shelby Harris. I will say this. Stuff like that right now, how heavy the interest is hard to gauge because a lot of this stuff kicks up around the combine.
Right.
Teams talk to agents at the combine. They start to set their. I know technically, legally, they're not supposed to.
Right.
But that's what happens is they talk at the combine.
This is the illegal tampering period.
But Shelby Harris is the kind of guy I could see them going after because he's not going to be a top of the market guy, but he's been very productive for the Broncos over the last 3 years. And the reason I think they're going to sign a defensive tackle is because the numbers are low. You can count on Autry, and you can count probably on Grover Stewart as a rotational player, but they were low at tackle, and you can't really count on anybody else. With apologies to Tyquan Lewis, he hasn't done anything.
No, you're right. You can't count on him. You hope, but you can't count on him.
And they started talking about him maybe more as a defensive end, so that makes me wonder if maybe he's in the help replace Sheard picture.
Yeah. But
you cannot count on him as Marcus Hunt after last season. You cannot count on him as a. So I think they're going to have to add two. So I would say there's probably one in free agency there somewhere, because you don't want to go into the draft thinking I have to draft two defensive tackles.
Yeah, not that one's going to play right away. So Shelby Harris, for those who don't know, played in Denver last year. Started 16 games for the first time in his career. Actually didn't start the year before any of the games, weirdly. But 16 games.
They had Derek Wolfe and somebody else.
Yeah, he started 6 in 2017 and actually played really well. But this past year, to get back to the point, he had 49 tackles and 6 sacks, which is really good numbers for a defensive tackle.
And 9 batted passes.
He did. He had 9 passes defended. He had 7 combined the 2 previous years. So, yeah. Pretty efficient, I would say, on the quarterback. Yeah, this is the one I guess you get the knock for the sacks. 6 quarterback hits, 6 sacks this year. The year before, he had 7 quarterback hits, 1.5 sacks.
Well, I mean, you're not assuming you're not getting with Shelby Harris, you're not getting Aaron Donald. But
no, I'm just saying the 6 sacks.
But
might
the pass rush potential is there. There's more guys though in the defensive tackle market like that. Javon Hargrave is kind of like that, like 4 sack, 5.5 sack type guy the last couple of years.
Jaron Reed, DJ Reader. Those guys are
Jaron Reed, DJ Reader. Like the guys we're talking about are nose tackles with some pass rush ability, which I think is what they would like.
Eric Armstead interest you at all? Not the same type of guy, but definitely a different type of guy. But any interested you at all?
If he can play, it depends on his price first of all, and then if he can play that more power endish type spot.
Yeah, 10 sacks last year. So,
but previously before that,
9 and 3 years combined.
Right. So you have to figure out if it's real or if it's a product of having all those other guys around him.
Yeah, and then there's like I said, there's kind of the fringier edge rush guys who I think are going to get paid anyway. Dante Fowler, Bud Dupree. Like I don't think they're going to get like Frank Clark money, but I think they're going to get paid decent money.
Oh, they'll get paid really good money.
Yeah, because they're young pass rushers. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else. Obviously, we're talking about free agents. There are a couple of right tackles out there that the Colts could theoretically be interested in if they don't get good news on Anthony Costanzo. Brian Bulaga is one of them, even though he played more right tackle with Green Bay. DJ Humphries, again, I think played right tackle with Arizona. But there are solutions there. If
you lose Costanzo, I think you're going to end up signing at least somebody.
I think you have to, right?
Because, again, you don't want to have to go into the draft going, we don't have a tackle at all.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, am I missing another bigger name tackle that might be available? Am I crazy? Or are those the guys?
I think that's pretty much the guys.
Bulaga, yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't even see like Costanzo as a free agent. I just assume if Costanzo's coming back, he's signing with the Colts.
That's what I think, too.
We can get into this a little. You and I, again, this is just you and me speculating. No rumors on this at all. But you and I both, we were talking about this recently. We think the longer this goes on, the more likely it seems that Costanzo is coming back, and that because the Colts won't be announcing. They won't be announcing that he's coming back, but then there's no contract. So my theory is the longer it goes on is they're working on a contract with him, and that's what's taking longer.
And maybe I don't
know for sure.
Maybe it just went longer than Anthony thought it did. You know, but yeah, that's part of it. Is if he does come back, they also have to have an extension to announce that he's coming back.
Right. Like they're not going to just say, or Anthony doesn't strike me as the kind of guy himself is going to like go on Twitter and be like, I'm coming back, but I can't wait to get to free agency. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like for him. Just the kind of guy he is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there'll probably... Anyway, Anthony strikes me as the kind of guy who took a couple weeks to make a decision, made his decision, and told the Colts. That's my again, purely guessing.
Yeah, I have no idea. With retirement, we sort of learned our lesson with retirement.
Exactly. No, like I said,
you never know how they're going to go.
Gut instinct. I could be 100% wrong. We'll find out tomorrow. So I don't know.
I did see one writer in their mock draft put there's whispers about Anthony Costanzo retiring. There weren't whispers.
No, he said it.
He said it with
very
his
loudly.
face.
Yeah. he was.
He said it with his face. That's not a rumor situation.
All right, Andrew Fisher at Colts Fisher asks us, do you think Brissett or Hoyer could return anything in a trade? I threw Hoyer in because I think he's less likely to be on an opening day roster than Jacoby, but wanted to get your take on the possible values. Thanks. You and I talked about this a little before the podcast, and we disagree about it. So go ahead and start off with Jacoby.
I think that with both guys, there's the potential for like a low round pickish type thing.
So with $21 million cap hit for Jacoby, I just don't see anybody giving up. I mean, maybe a 6 or a 7, maybe, but that's a lot of money for a guy that I don't know. I don't think you're going to start. Probably, I think I think most teams would be trading for him as a backup.
I think there's a weird scenario in here where some team decides they want him as a bridge guy and is willing to take on the 1 year since it's only 1 year.
Like a team that drafts Tua, that's not Miami. Say that's Fitzpatrick already. Like maybe I could see that. Carolina, I suppose.
That's where I'm thinking that could happen. It's sort of like I brought this up before, but like a Mike Glennon-ish situation where it's like a guy that you know isn't that good, but you're just sort of spending the money to buy a little time.
Yeah, I guess it just.
I don't think with either of, definitely not with Hoyer, but with either of these guys, I don't think the returns if you traded any of them is going to be the kind of pick anyone would get excited about.
I can't see them trading Hoyer only because the Patriots couldn't trade anything for Hoyer. Clearly, they probably tried.
That's true.
They probably tried and didn't get any offers.
That's true. I mean that's true. But there's enough random guys traded for 6th and 7th round draft picks every year that I would never rule out that they could get rid of him for a 6 or 7.
I will say that was not the perfect example with Hoyer. Or his thing is because I think they cut him thinking they were going to get him back.
Yes.
So they maybe didn't explore all their trade options. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how that worked.
At one point, I know New England thought they were getting him back.
Right. So maybe they didn't explore trading him. So I shouldn't say they couldn't get anything for him for sure. But I just doubt that he would. I don't think he'd fetch much on a trade market. Again.
Well, that's why a 6th or 7th round pick is like nothing.
Yeah,
essentially.
He might even be who was it the Colts traded last year just to move
Evan
up
Boehm to move. Well, I think that pick actually turned into a 6th rounder.
Oh, because he played so much.
No, not because of playing time. Because the Dolphins have a higher. Okay, I gotta get this right.
I thought it was
if they traded picks. No, it should. Yeah, the Colts have 2 6-round picks, and I think one of them is the Dolphins pick.
No, that was the Nate Hairston trade.
Oh, okay.
So they just have a better
they just
7.
moved up. They just had a better 7.
Yeah.
Because the Dolphins had a higher. If the Dolphins had been
but they weren't ever going to be
lower, then that pick would have turned into a 6.
For the Colts, I'm sure they were like, hey, what the hell's with the 5 wins? Like, this was supposed to be the top of the 7th round pick. So, yeah, no, that'll be, what is it, like 5th, I guess. It is still, I guess, top.
But, yeah, you can. I think you can.
I think that, to me, is like the most you might get from Hoyer.
No, I don't think it's a lot, but I think that there's a chance that you could flip him for a very low round draft pick.
Yeah, and Brissett would be interesting. I just can't see that. But you're right. They probably wouldn't. He probably is not a nothing. With the cap hit, it's big. It would be a limited amount of teams that could even afford to take that on. So
no, that's true. But it also, if you are in a situation where you have some cap space, and you have a rookie coming in, and you need someone to just kind of be there, maybe start, maybe end up as the backup. There's nothing long term tying it to you.
Yeah.
So you'd rather have him than like Nick Foles and end up in the situation the Jaguars are in, where they have a rookie quarterback that might be a starter and this guy that they signed for 3 more years.
I'll go. I think one more question I think we had to get to was Nico at Colts. Nico.
I don't think a trade of either of those guys is likely. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly think Brissett's going to be on this team.
But I think there's a scenario where you could. In both cases.
Best guess, Colts draft a quarterback, Brissett starting week 1. That's still where I'm at right now.
I don't have a guess. We're in the part of the offseason where I just kind of like wait.
Well, I'm not. Again, I have no. Again, this is just guessing, and I know you're reticent to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Nico at Colts. Nico, kind of the opposite of what we're talking about with this Brissett Hoyer thing. He wants to know if the Colts can. I like this question. Can you see the Colts quote Osweilering a trade for Nick Foles? Yeah, actually. They have the cap space to do it, and we know Chris Ballard loves those picks. So if he can essentially unload or help the Jaguars get some cap relief and get a good pick out of it, I think he might consider it, especially with the magic that Frank and Nick made in Philadelphia.
Well, and I mean, you're getting a much better quarterback.
You think?
No, a much better quarterback.
Well, he got benched for Minshew.
Nick Foles has done... Just in one little run with the Eagles, did more in his career than Brock Osweiler did in his entire NFL career.
Oh, better quarterback than Brissett.
I'm Osweiler.
Yeah, 100% better than Osweiler. No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes,
that's the only thing about this that is different is that like with Osweiler, it was the Browns straight up bought a draft pick.
Yes,
they straight up bought a draft pick from
Denver
from Houston because Houston did not want Brock Osweiler at all. They didn't think he was valuable at all. I don't think we're in that situation with Foles, which makes it a little harder to pull off maybe. But yeah, if you can, because the Jaguars don't have a lot of cap space.
They don't, but even if they trade him, I don't really know how this works, but I'm pretty sure they'd still have $34 million in dead cap if they traded him.
That's my normal understanding. But if there was some way to alleviate that somehow,
like they wouldn't have the cap hit. So they'd still have that space open, but they'd still have $33 million in dead cap.
Yeah, no. The Foles contract is really bad.
Yeah.
For getting rid of him.
Next year it's much easier.
Because you're right. I'm not.
If you want to look at it,
I'd have to look at the Osweiler. Go look at the Osweiler trade real quick.
I don't know if it's going to say exactly how this works, but
go look at the Osweiler trade because if there's a way that teams can shift cap around, although I didn't think you were supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
It's very hard to keep track of some of the cap stuff sometimes.
It says Texans are trading Brock Osweiler. The Browns move that will take $16 million guaranteed off of Houston's books.
If you take the guaranteed money off, it might help. So I do think that if there's because they have the cap space to do it, but again, you have to. Jacksonville has to want to help a division team.
Yeah, he was guaranteed at signing $45 million, but his total guarantees of $50, and after he's only played 1 year so far, he's been paid $12.
It's a bad contract.
So they still have a lot more money to pay him.
Yeah.
I think I don't know the number, but I think they could get out of some of it, and the Colts could take some of it. I don't think they'd get as high. I think the Browns got a second-round pick out of it. It wasn't a flat. It was a second and a sixth for a Osweiler and a fourth.
Foles, by the way, while we're talking about Nick Foles, is one of the wildest careers in the NFL to me because I don't think you have any idea of predicting what you'd be getting.
No, you have no idea. No, that's 100% right. Don't know.
That is a weird career he's had. He's had some very good years. Obviously, he had one incredible playoff run and another pretty good closing run with the Eagles.
With the Eagles.
But he's also got a lot of really bad starting spots that have ended up with him ending up in other teams. I don't properly know what I think Nick Foles is. I don't really know.
I have no idea. I don't. Again, if you do this, you're probably putting 30. I mean, again, assuming you're taking on the cap part of his deal, you're putting $22 million on yours. So you're with Jacoby's 21. That's like 43.
That's a lot
on just quarterbacks. And again, the Colts could do it.
Just fairly marginal quarterbacks, unless you can somehow guarantee that you're getting.
Well, I don't mind it for them as much
Eagles
as that.
Playoff holes.
Well, but it's only 1 year, and Brissett would be gone after the books after that year, so you'd be okay. And then again, if you're doing a trade like this, I still think you should draft a quarterback. You could have Brissett, your draft pick, and Foles on the team, and then.
Well, the Eagles did that the 1 year.
Right.
The Eagles did that the 1 year, and then they traded Bradford, and it all shook itself out.
I was actually you were mentioning you were trying to think of teams that drafted a quarterback and were going to wait. The Eagles were going to wait on Wentz,
and then he just made it so they couldn't.
Right, and then somebody needed Bradford really. Minnesota needed Bradford really.
Well, but they wouldn't have done that if Wentz wasn't ready.
Right.
You do that because you think the guy's ready.
Right. So that was anyway. That was an interesting. It's an interesting comparison, but I wouldn't. That's a good question. The Foles question. That was.
No, it's a great question. It's a fantastic question. It's a kind of a neat idea.
Yeah.
A lot of it depends on which Nick Foles you think you're getting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if you started the phone call with Frank or with Chris Ballard and going, Chris, I want to give you a draft pick, he'd be like, what do you got? Because like, I am all ears right now. He's like, it comes with Nick Foles, and he'd be like, okay, hold on now. Yeah, I mean, but it would.
Right.
I think he'd be open to something like that, or at least listening to see what the deal might be.
Well, I thought it was creative when the Browns bought a second-round pick.
Yeah, that's an NBA trade. It's great.
I thought it was very creative. They just went ahead and bought a second-round pick. Because they had the money and they didn't need to worry about it. They were in basically the same cap situation the Colts are in now.
Exactly.
They had a ton of it, and you have to spend some of it. You just do.
Yeah.
So you can, if you can do it without like really messing up what you're going to roll over the next year. I thought it was really, really smart. So it's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, I said I wish we.
That was the first question we got back, by the way, and it was like,
the first one.
I really like this one.
That's great. We should. All right, who was it again? Colts Nico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out to Colts Nico because that was. I want to say it's the best question we got, and there were some good ones, but that one was just really cool. So I definitely think that would be interesting, and I don't know that we'll ever find out the answer if it was ever considered. I guess we could ask Chris.
Well, it's just because like you don't see there's only one trade. Well, I think didn't the Dolphins basically buy like a 5th rounder this year with Aqib Talib's contract?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So there's been like 2 of those, but it happens so little in the NFL that it's hard to expect it to happen. I think you'd have to look at it because it's an interesting proposition.
Yeah. No, I'm very...
especially if you want Nick Foles.
All right, so how are you spending your next couple weeks? Because you've done some combine prep already. You'll be writing those stories. But what's the rest of your downtime look like before the combine starts?
We're talking about my downtime or my actual work time.
Well, I mean a mix. Like, what are you going to be? Other
than I'm working mostly
stories?
On those 2 stories. Yeah. Worrying about trying to keep an eye on Colts breaking news if there is any. There's not usually this time of year.
Right.
And downtime wise, I'm fully into college basketball now.
Okay, because you were spending a lot of time trying to get yourself ready for the Oscars.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was impressed because you were sending me texts like, "Just watch this movie. Just watch this movie. Just watch this movie." I was like, "Man, yeah."
Yeah.
So, are you on? Have you done Parasite yet?
I have not done Parasite yet.
When are you doing? When is that? When is that for you?
And whenever it's like readily available to me, and I don't have to rent it for $6.
Yeah, that's like the best I heard it's out there. My brother was asking me about this too. Yeah.
Because now that the Oscars are over, I don't feel as much time pressure.
That's fair. How many did you make it out of the 9?
7.
Okay. It's an impressive
I didn't
number.
see that one or Little Women.
Little Women's great.
And I saw a lot of the acting ones too. Like I saw Harriet.
Right. Saw 2 Popes.
I saw 2 Popes.
Right.
Trying
to think what else was in there.
I saw Pain and Glory.
Oh, okay.
I could get that in Redbox, so I watched that.
Banderas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's another foreign language film. Trying to think if there's any other one. I think I missed a couple of the I didn't see Judy. The one that Renee Zellweger won for.
You saw Joker. You saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
I guess my hottest take of the thing was Leo over Joaquin all day long.
Ooh, I can't do that.
Really?
Nope.
Okay, wait. I can get you on board with a different one. Scarlett Johansson, Jojo Rabbit over Laura Dern.
Yeah, actually,
Marriage
that's
Story.
no. I actually think that too.
Yeah.
I thought Laura Dern was good, but I also just saw her play that role in Big Little Lies.
It's the same role.
I also just saw her play it in Big Little Lies, and so
For 2 years.
It didn't feel like that big of a stretch to me. Whereas I thought Scarlett's work in Jojo Rabbit was really, really good.
Wildly different. I think I told you the story before, but I'd seen her so often in these Avengers movies where she kind of plays the same kind of quiet, mellow character. And to see her with that much charisma in Jojo Rabbit, I was like, man, this is fantastic.
No, I thought she was really good. My biggest Oscars hot take is that Jamie Foxx should have won the supporting Oscar.
You can't just start throwing out people who weren't nominated. It gets too
I
weird.
can.
Then.
I can. I saw Just Mercy. It was great, and I thought Fox was incredible.
Okay. He's won before, so it's obviously not like a stretch.
In the middle of the movie, I texted another friend of mine who loves movies. It was like, do we just underrate Jamie Foxx? Because he's fantastic in this movie.
Oh, by the way, Colts fans and Nick, especially Nick Moore, your biggest fan, might have to worry about you switching beats to IndyCar now that you've seen Ford versus Ferrari. You're a car expert now.
We are not supposed to let out my lack of knowledge on the car racing. We're not supposed to do that.
No, you said it.
I've been hiding it for a very long time.
You know how to. Now you know everything about cars.
Yeah, you just changed the entire brake
You can go win Le Mans now. Yeah, that's it.
I thought that was a very good movie.
It was fun, wasn't it? It was good performance. I actually thought Christian Bale could have been nominated for a lead actor. I
thought Damon was great too.
Damon was great.
Damon's like Southwest Tex, like the Texas-y type.
Oh, I forgot
accent
you're a Southern accent aficionado.
Yeah, I know the difference in all of them, and his was good.
It was good.
Well, I think he's.
Did your wife watch with you?
He's doing like a little bit of a. She doesn't know though, because isn't Shelby more of a Texan? Carol Shelby's more of a Texan.
I believe so.
Texas
I thought your wife
Texas is
was
a very different accent.
I thought she was the level of like knows all the Southern accents.
No. She can identify her own. She can identify like the Alabama, Mississippi type.
Okay.
But she doesn't know the other ones as well.
So you're more worldly in this.
Well, I lived all over the place down there, so like, yeah. But he nailed the accent.
Something just popped up on Twitter. We're talking about movies. It's a huge block letters that just says Rick Moranis returns.
I don't have that much of a connection to those movies. I really don't. I saw Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but
they're doing so you saw this already, that he's doing a sequel called Shrunk.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I
feel like there's too many of
has
the
been
sequels.
Famously like out of movies for a long time though.
Yeah, there's too many of these sequels.
I agree. Well, they're doing a Knives Out too.
Although, which I really love, but Knives Out. Although I did see Bad Boys. And it was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, that's you know what, if you know what you're getting when you go into those movies, that's great.
It was way, way, way better than I thought it would be. In fact, I think Bad Boys for Life is probably the best Bad Boys.
The last one?
Yes.
You're going to get, man, people are listening to this. You're going to get that. I haven't seen it, but Bad Boys 2 is a classic.
I agree. I love the Bad Boys franchise, but I think in terms of like a good movie, Bad Boys for Life is like the best movie. I don't know.
That's your hottest take so far. The whole podcast.
No, I don't think it is. Have you seen it?
No, but
it's really good.
Bad Boys 2 is like an action classic.
At
this point,
there's more depth in Bad Boys for Life than you were expecting.
Okay.
Way more than you were expecting.
Okay. This might be like the when it was. Remember what we were talking about? What caught me super off guard was the Creed 2. Was the entire storyline dedicated to Drago that I did not see coming?
Yeah.
That I was blown away by. I actually thought it was better than the Creed storyline. I liked it a lot. So anyway, that's what.
Yeah, no. I went with my brother, who's also a huge Bad Boys 2 fan and Bad Boys fan, and we waited a long time because we were trying to make sure we could go together.
Yeah.
And like halfway through Bad Boys for Life, we were like, "Wait, what happened?
Are we enjoying ourselves?"
Where did the depth come from in Bad Boys? I wasn't expecting depth.
Okay. Well, now you made me want to see it. I got a lot.
How did you not want to see it before?
I don't know. Like, okay, I will say
I'm
this.
a little older than you, but we're roughly the same age. But most people my age, like that is like It's just a favorite.
No, I was going to say this. I like Bad Boys 2. I acknowledge it's a classic. It's not my favorite.
Oh, man.
I like other Will Smith better. If I'm going to watch like classic Will Smith, I'm going to watch Men in Black. Or maybe Independence Day. But probably Men in Black.
I am a sucker for the buddy cop genre.
Yeah.
But Bad Boys 2, like I think...
I'm not faulting you.
I think my roommate and I watched Bad Boys 2 like every day for a month in college.
I'm not no judgment. It's just it's not my personal cup of tea.
But yeah, Bad Boys for Life. I was like,
okay.
Whoa!
I will check it out. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna not enjoy it. But
there's a scene with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith arguing on a plane among other like normal people that I fell out of my chair.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll check it out. I've also heard recently that the McMillionaires, the McDonald's Monopoly scam thing on HBO is supposed to be great. Apparently, I don't know much about it,
but see what happens, Jim, when I turn on my TV is that like there's always a basketball game on.
Yeah,
every time, and so like I went to go watch something else.
See, that's the most Indiana. See, you're Indiana still. You're a Hoosier now. You don't have to.
I don't know what you're talking about. We still have not gotten into. We just have hints of it. They don't know that I don't know. They don't know what I don't know about car racing.
Just talk basketball and you'll be fine. If it doesn't come up,
I truly love college basketball.
Yeah,
more than the NBA.
I'm opposite, but also don't love. I'm a football, baseball guy.
Yeah, that's all the sports I'm watching right now are like the reason I didn't watch any XFL is number one, I don't want to, and number two, the sports I watched this weekend was Auburn LSU, which was an awesome game.
Okay,
awesome game, and then I watched Butler Marquette.
Oh, that was a blowout in the wrong direction for Indiana fans, for Butler fans, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was up in Milwaukee, though. That changes things.
Yeah. Marquette's having a decent season, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're ranked now.
Okay. I don't follow too closely. I did see that Bob Knight returned to
Big
some
East
school
is good.
around here, and that's.
I started to watch the beginning of that game, and then I had stuff to do on Saturday. I would have watched Indiana Purdue too.
Yeah, well, you just skipped out of my joke. You didn't follow the Bob Knight. You didn't you just went over it. People are gonna be like, does he not know who Bob Knight is?
No, I know who Bob Knight is.
No, me. That's what I was. Yeah, no, yeah. So no, I did follow that obviously, but we've rambled a lot at the end here, so I'm gonna close it up because I think we're over an hour. And if you've listened this far, then you are probably Nick Moore and Joel's biggest fan. You're Jim, and you don't know what to do with yourself in the middle of the day. I have errands to run now. I guess I'll just go do those non-work related things while just keeping up Colts weird. Oh, I didn't stump Joel. I talked all about it. God. Last question. Here we go, real quick. In the last 20 years, how many quarterbacks have the Colts drafted? Oh gosh, I'm not going to get this. I need to phone a friend, Mike Chappell. I will. The NFL average is right around 8. It's actually 7.7 quarterbacks drafted in the last 20 years. I'm going to go 4. 4 is correct. Who is the last quarterback the Colts drafted? It's not Luck. It's a guy they picked in the 7th round named, I think, Chandler Harnish. You got both. Very good. All right, here I got one more part of this for you because I did some weird quarterback research yesterday as part of my story for the Combine. Which two teams have drafted the most quarterbacks in the last 20 years? And they've each drafted 12. Cleveland. No. Wow. Cleveland's 10. Also, Cleveland behind New England in that game, by the way. Denver? Denver is correct. That's one. One other team with 12. Drafted 12. Oh. Denver's a great pull. You did good. They drafted a bunch recently, so that helped. Yeah. This team has drafted consistently a few first-round quarterbacks and just never really got it right. Jacksonville? The Jets. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Number 2. They draft USC quarterback. Yeah, Sam Darnold, Sanchez. Yeah, exactly. A couple others at 11, by the way, just so you know. Baltimore, weirdly, at 11. Kyle Bowler in that list. That was a fun thing for me to find. Washington at 11. And New England, surprisingly, at 11 as well. Well, I mean, that's what they do. They like to collect them. They do, yeah. But the fact that they're up there with these bad teams is really interesting to me. So, anyway, if the Colts draft a quarterback this year, it will be relatively new for the franchise. So, good job on Chandler Harnish and 4. Very impressive. That is, by the way, the lowest in the league. No one else. That makes sense. 5. There's 2 teams with, I think it was Dallas, Minnesota, and New Orleans have all drafted 5. So. Dallas maybe should have drafted. No, Dallas had Tony Romo. They didn't need to draft more. No. Minnesota maybe should have drafted more. Yeah, they had Bridgewater for a few years.
They maybe should have drafted more.
And then New Orleans, for obvious reasons, did not draft a quarterback. But yeah, so anyway, good job. I'm impressed. I was very excited about I didn't know if Chandler Harnish was going to.
No, I got Chandler Harnish.
Nice. All right, well, we'll finish this up. We'll come back again, probably pre-combine, I'm guessing. So in a couple weeks?
Well, pre-combine is basically next week. But yeah.
Do you want to do pre-combine? Are we doing pre-combine? Well, we'll talk about it.
I don't know. We might not have anything to talk about between now and the combine.
Yeah, so we'll have some, if we have news, obviously, if we find out
we might have to drop it in the middle of the combine.
Constanzo related or anything like that, we'll come back. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening to the rambling at the end if you're this far. Talk to you later.